Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast with Ron and Kristin, where leadership meets entertainment. This podcast features stories with names and certain aspects that have been changed to keep submissions private. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast, where leadership meets entertainment. I'm your co-host, Kristin Sokolov, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ronnie Ward. Ron, how's it going today?
It's going great. And Kristin, I am very excited about this topic. It's something I've never heard discussed before, although we've all got those little memories of people throwing it in our face, maybe. So, I think this is going to be interesting. So stay with us, folks. We're going to delve right in.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. And we are talking about nostalgia and, not the memories themselves, but what happens when people become emotionally trapped in the good old days, but also items, right, Ron? I mean, this has come to the surface while you're going through your move and downsizing from one home, and right? So that's got to come up as well when you're going through your belongings.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Nostalgia is a great thing. And my daughter, actually, when we saw the video of our house, they come and take the pictures and they do a video. And when they sent it to me for approval, I sent it to my daughter. She lives with me. And she said, Dad, that's kind of sad. We get attached to things. And I totally get it. So
I do too.
We're going to break it down, though. And by the way, folks, just to go in order of my book, we've added dirty lessons to this one. So they're not the dirty lessons in my book. They're for this episode, but you're going to get some dirty lessons. And as in my book, those are numbered 1 through 100. So we're going to give you some of those today.
Yeah, especially because this is the dirty side of nostalgia. So I think this is great. And most people think it's harmless, right? Old music, old friends, old stories. So what is the dirty side, Ron?
Well, number one is the real dirty side of nostalgia is that it is addictive. There are some people who are stuck like in the 80s, they're classmates, that time period. And it's really interesting. I talked to someone who, I'm not kidding, everything they do is they will not listen to new music. It's got to be 80s music, that type stuff. And here's
the mullet. They're still rocking
the mullet. I need to get one of those.
They're back, actually.
Kristin, we're going to bring in something from neuroscience that a lot of people don't know, but the brain does not remember the past accurately. It remembers the emotion that's attached to the past. Think about this. Think about a car you drove, something. You're going to get this, now, unless it broke down a lot, like most of my cars. But you get an emotion attached to a good time in that car or that song and all of that. There's that emotional attachment, but you don't have the right vivid memory, which I think is God-given because it also helps us get over bad times.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
No, I was just going to say, I think absolutely we have to be resilient. And if we're dwelling too much, that makes complete sense, Ron. I've never thought of it from that point of view.
Yeah. Come up with since I brought up a car, what's a great memory? What's your favorite car or a memory that's attached to a vehicle?
Yeah. Well, I had a Toyota 4x4 that I took wheeling every weekend growing up, like in my early 20s, late teens.
And I'm sure when you think about that, it seems fun because you did tell a story on one podcast where you could have probably been sex trafficked, but you didn't even know it. But but I'm saying we get those fun, great memories with those cars. It's things that are important to Americans. You see what I'm saying? A lot of it based on the country, like cars and rock and roll, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So
but to your point, the memory that goes with the vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we remember the camaraderie during those times. We forget about the stress. We remember the mission, but forget about the burnout. Like now, when I think back on my job, Kristin, I get a lot more positive memories than all those sleepless nights and rough days, right? We also remember the success and forget about the struggle.
Yeah.
And, I'm working on a second book, The Dirty Side of Entrepreneurship, and I've had to relive those struggles.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear about the pain and stuff so that the readers get, the truth about entrepreneurship. So, but consistently memory over time, which can be a beautiful thing, but we're going to take a little different look today. But it can be, just moving and emotional, and you get some dopamine, like it's really cool. But it can get dangerous, right, Kristin?
It can. And it's funny, before we dive into that, I just have to say that I was telling stories about, I don't know why, but all these like stories from when I was in my late teens, early 20s, like are coming to the surface. And I was like telling my son a few, and he's like, your life seems like it was fake. It's so crazy. And I'm like, I know. Like, it's just, I've had so many experiences. I think part of that, Ron, wouldn't you say like when you live in the country, you do like a lot of just wild things, like up in the mountains and out. Like, I just feel like country kids, it's just different than if I was in the city. And I just have so many wild stories about getting lost in the woods and, just stuff. My son literally thought, he's like, sounds like a fake life.
There's no doubt that's true, but think about it. When your son gets older, he's going to have these kind of memories, and he's going to say, it was better for me than it was you guys. So I do get that. The problem that I always had is I was always living for the next adventure instead of enjoying the current one. And I'm trying to help my little grandson do that because he's just like me. All right, Kristin, start us off with, give us dirty lesson number 1.
All right. Sometimes leaders aren't protecting standards. They're protecting memories.
Oh, that's deep.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Deep.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. And we make mistakes as leaders, and I'm going to give you some introductory phrases that are used, but I want to know, if you're a listener, give us your best nostalgic story like that maybe your grandfather or your dad told you. But here's one I'll never forget. My uncle always said this. He goes, when I was a boy, we walked to school 6 miles uphill both ways. I can remember being a kid going uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Like,
How does that?
What's that mean?
Out?
Or we walked in 20 feet of snow, and they're only 4 feet tall, that type stuff. Now, I've tried to say things to maybe someone in the Gen Z age group like, you guys need to toughen up, or don't let it bother you. That doesn't work so well. So as you can see, folks, we're starting to inch into where nostalgia can actually be a roadblock.
I see.
If a sentence starts off, usually, I'm going to do my old man and don't make a comment, Kristin. Well, back in my day.
Oh, that was good.
Or things used to be better. But here's the one you really want to set off Gen Z, go, this generation just don't understand. You might think you're being wise. You may think you're being wise. But it's, again, you said it, it's that emotional attachment to familiarity.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see Gen Z just like rolling their eyes at this stuff,
Exactly.
Right? Oh, goodness. So like when we're getting to this right now, when does nostalgia become unhealthy?
Yeah, that's good. So, of course, it starts resisting growth. You see organizations refuse new technology, new ideas, the younger perspective. And by the way, we did a segment on Gen Z, and we came out pretty favorable. They brought a lot of great things. Of course, there's things they need coaching on, but when you ignore their perspective, you are definitely living in nostalgia in the wrong way. Companies, and companies cling to outdated systems. There are some, I talked to a guy the other night who was in the Department of Agriculture, and he was talking about, because I'm bidding on government contracts, he was talking about the old system. And Kristin, I asked him if he looked for a Kickstarter. That's how outdated it was. The Pentagon, I've got a friend there who said their system was completely outdated. And people find it hard to believe, but the government is so layered and takes so long to make change. I don't know if it's nostalgia or it's just stubbornness, but things needed to be changed. So the old identity feels better. The future feels uncertain. The past feels emotionally organized. Even though it wasn't, you feel good about it.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I have to talk about NYPD. And again, with their system, when they arrest somebody, and I can talk to this because my husband was NYPD when we met and when we were first married, their system to arrest somebody is like 7-8 hours, where in Portland here, It's less than 45 minutes processing time. So in the NYPD, they're using paperwork still. You have to have a detective come up. Like, they would arrest someone at the end of the shift just so that they would be there so long they would get the next night off. Like, it was a whole thing. And so you wonder, like, why would the NYPD, the largest police department in our country, maybe even in the world, I don't know, but why would they be operating in an archaic manner? And I do think part of it is nostalgia, because it's like that whole, we're going to bring them back to the precinct, and then the detective's going to come. And, imagine how those detectives would feel if they were completely cut out of the equation. I bet they would get backlash. That's how we've always done it, So it is wild. And so that would be where nostalgia, that's the dirty side, because an arrest should not take upwards of 8-9 hours. So there's plenty of that out there, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, Ron.
I am too, and I love when you made a statement. That's how we've always done it. That's the most dangerous words. And then in my trainings, we do growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and one of the things on a fixed mindset is they say that. That's how we've always done it. Kristin, give us another dirty lesson. Give us number 2.
Yeah, let's do it. Nostalgia becomes dangerous when memory starts competing with reality. That's powerful right there.
It is. There's a difference between preserving values and preserving outdated systems.
Yes.
Healthy leaders honor the past. Unhealthy leaders emotionally live there. They're still stuck. They're still stuck.
Well, let's do something fun for a second, Ron, because when you talk about like people that don't move out of like the 80s music, the 80s style, the 80s hair, right? And I really do think there's something to this. I feel like, because me personally, I've been listening to alternative a lot lately. And that's what I started getting into when I was in 8th grade. So what does that put me at? Like 14. Yeah. So like 14, 15, 16, like that's the music, even into my early 20s, but that is the music that I really enjoy. And so I just wonder, there's got to be a scientific reason that people really do stay with the music. Like, I don't like new country. So I got into country and I love 90s, early 2000s country. The newer stuff I can't even recognize anymore, right? I sound like an old person, but it's true. So, but what is it, like something with it was before the prefrontal cortex was fully developed, and like, any idea why people do that?
Well, I think we said part of it. The brain only remembers, it's going to record the good parts of that emotion. And then you got familiarity, and if you get a good feeling, it releases dopamine. So you're getting a little bit of dopamine that nostalgia brings. And Kristin, I said this one other time, but it's important. When I realized I was depressed when I retired, I couldn't come to terms with it. I started watching Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson basketball games because it brought me back to this wonderful time period. But I pretended in my mind, because I didn't remember who won, if it was a championship. I just pretend I'm watching the NBA tonight, and I watched numerous games of them because it sparked that fond memory and it helped me cope. And there's nothing that I know wrong with that, as long as you're not thwarting business or minimizing opportunities or not listening to younger people. But I do think there's an emotion attached to that, Kristin, that it's triggering a little bit, in a good way. Yeah. And you're getting that feeling. Whereas if you listen to modern day music over and over, you probably would catch on a little bit. I always defend musicians this way. Think about it. I'm the ultimate Beatles fan. I still don't think there's a band that's even touched them, but they could learn a new chord, B12 or something, B sharp, and nobody knew it. They couldn't cover the Beatles. But now, look how much music you've got cataloged. So you got to be pretty darn creative to come up with something fresh in life. So I give people a little grace in that. But I think you're just triggering good memory in a good way, memories, and the mood that it puts you in, and the thought, and that type thing. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, so we're going to dive into the neuroscience of nostalgia. This is like your jam, Ron, and I enjoy it too. So let's get into that neuroscience a little bit here.
It does partially answer your question a little bit
It
more.
does.
But the reason we do revisit meaningful memories is we've already said dopamine increases, but cortisol decreases. Stress, you feel, here's the thing, you were safe in that memory you're conjuring up, right?
Yeah.
I love to think, when I think about like the 80s, I think, there was no doom scrolling. There was none of that stuff. As a matter of fact, you didn't even know a lot of what's going on. And now, man, with Reddit and, all the social media, like you get all kinds of horrible comments. So it's all in your face. It used to not have that. So I think your feelings of connection rise. You feel more connected. And I think people were, this may be closed mindset, but I think people were more connected.
Yeah,
because,
definitely.
You're not texting, you're talking. And we know that oxytocin, which builds trust, is released more in person than it is online. So we've got scientific information to back that up. So that old song, you'll love this, Kristin. We had a drive-in. I grew up in a rural area.
Yeah.
My best friend, Alan Honecker, he had a Ford Pinto or something, like broke down a lot. We had an 8-track tape player, and Boston was our favorite band more than
I love Boston.
Oh, I think they're untouchable as well.
So great.
But here's the thing. If you played that song right now, I'm going to go back to he and I sitting in his car. You couldn't go in the restaurant. You sat in your car to eat.
Okay.
And I promise you, my brain flashes of us sitting in that car eating that great burger that they had. You thought it was the best thing ever when you ate out.
Yeah.
But we would stop there after basketball practice. It is such a great memory of me sitting in that car. And, it was a Vega, not a Pinto. A
Vega. Close.
They were almost the same.
Yeah.
But isn't that crazy? And I get such a good, warm feeling. Anytime I hear Boston, it takes me back to that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so great. I know. And I think of, like, my parents loved Chicago, Boston, all of those bands. And I just think of listening to it as a family. So, yeah, everyone has their, whatever they flash back to when they listen to it. And sometimes, a smell, that'll bring you back to a memory and, all sorts of stuff. So, but let's dive into the dirty side a little bit more here.
Okay.
When nostalgia stops growth. So, we've talked about when it becomes unhealthy. Let's dive into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, let's do. So here's the problem. The brain starts comparing current reality to an emotionally edited, and it's very important to remember that version of the past. Reality can never compete with an edited history.
Yeah.
And Kristin, I've seen this a lot, but I knew a female who started living vicariously through her daughter. And it's because it compared, she wanted those old days when she looked good in the prom dress, when she, it was all of that stuff. And it was that edited
that's
past.
concerning.
Oh, it is concerning. And it happens more than you would think. So it creates, when you're comparing it to that edited past that you've got, that edited version, creates dissatisfaction, cynicism, resistance to change. Nothing is as good. And as we transition, we're going to look at this from a business perspective a little bit, Kristin. Yeah. And I think people are going to see how nostalgia can be wonderful, by the way. We're not attacking nostalgia. We're talking about the lack of growth and evolving.
Yeah.
So
it has to be balanced like everything else, right?
Yeah.
And this is where, so we're talking about the identity side of nostalgia. And I think this is, it gets stronger during transitions in life, like what you're going through right now. Moving is a big transition, whether people realize it or not. It forces you to go through all of your belongings. That alone is wild. And then there's a lot of changes coming. But naturally, you're going to reflect. And so what other transitions in life, Ron? When someone gets married, when someone gets divorced,
I think
when there's a death in the family, career, right?
And Kristin, I've said this before, aging. Aging is very unique because, I've always, been into workouts, martial arts, and those kind of things. And even seeing, like for me now, I thank God I could still do a jumping, spinning back kick, but I'm going to have to stretch. If you came up and said, hey, Ron, jump and spin, I'm taking a chance. I might pull a hammy.
Yeah.
So anyway, and the other thing is, and I'm working on my second book, I mentioned that, and this came up, but it's the loss of relevance. Imagine, Kristin, you're wildly active in social media, and then we got this podcast, but imagine all of that ends. It's gone. It shakes your core. So when your identity gets shaken, the brain searches backward for stability. Starts thinking of something like I did. I'm watching this, and by the way, I didn't even realize I was doing it. So, after retirement, it just happened. And then when you go from leading organizations to sitting at home during COVID, which I did, I was all alone during that time trying to build a business. It was very emotional. So naturally, I'm crying out for that edited version of the past. I wanted that nostalgia.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know what? Talk about nostalgia. I literally saved my calendar. I had a desk calendar at the office, and I would write every detail of every meeting, everything I was doing, right? It was a very active calendar. And then it stopped on March 13th of 2020, and I saved that month because I thought it was so wild. Like, you can just see life before COVID and then life after.
Yeah.
And I literally I don't know where it's at, but I do have it because I didn't throw it away. And I brought it home when I packed up my office. But it is wild. And so, at that time, even though I was excited to have more time with the family and to work from home because that was brand new to me, I did miss working right there with my team and all of that goes along with it. So it's really wild. It's a wild thing to go through. And, Ron, that brings us to dirty lesson number 3. Some people don't miss the past. They miss who they were in the past.
That's right. And that goes with aging or position or whatever. Chris and I have to tell a story, though. It's you and I both this story involves. And folks, I usually don't say this, but I put this episode together probably 2 weeks ago. And because of the house move, I knew things were going to be chaotic. So Kristin and I were on the phone. And I'm not telling you this won't happen, but I told her, I said, Kristin, I got to get rid of the neon sign. It isn't going to work because I'm in a borrowed location right now.
Yeah.
So we're recording right now. So I took down the sign. It's attached to a styrofoam backdrop. We don't mind to tell you how it's done on here. So I put it in the back of a pickup truck, and I even took a picture. And I don't know if I sent that one to you, but I took a picture of it, and I thought, yeah, I need to get rid of that because I'm buying a new house. I don't want to have that crappy backdrop. So I still was going to put in storage for memories, but I wasn't going to bring it with me. I promise you, I go to the storage facility that I've rented, and I was getting it out of the back of the truck, and I thought, you know what, I can cut the sides off, make this thing shorter. So the funny part is I send Kristin this picture. Before I even had it set up, it was still sideways and all that. I cut part of it off. Do you know the words you sent back to me on the text?
I have no idea. No.
You said nostalgic.
Did I? Oh, my gosh.
And I'd already developed an episode on nostalgia. So I struggled, and Chris and I have been doing this 2 years now, but I have an emotional attachment to this crazy, crappy, neon, dirty side of leadership sign. So someone's got
I do too. I don't want to get rid of mine.
And with modern day, it's so easy to just do an overlay. But here I am in someone else's house. Thank you, Kelly. I'm in someone else's house with this neon sign stuck in the bedroom. So I just thought that story is so relevant to what we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. I love that, Ron. Oh, my gosh. That's funny that I said nostalgia, and here we are.
That's some nostalgia.
Makes
That's
sense,
what you
though.
said.
Oh, my goodness.
Repeat lesson number 3 so we can
number 3?
jump back in.
All right, let me
dirty
jump.
lesson number 3.
Oh, here we are. Okay. Some people don't miss the past. They miss who they were in the past.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, what's the answer?
Wait, hold on. Have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, are you kidding?
Uncle Rico?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect,
Rico.
right? Yes. He can't stop reliving the past when he was the quarterback for the high school team and something happened and he wasn't able to go to college and the entire his entire persona was about him playing ball in high
Yeah.
school. And here he is in his late 30s, 40s.
Well, look at it, Cobra Kai. You and I both watched that. Remember, Johnny
Oh,
Lawrence was
yeah.
stuck. He would only listen to old music, and he had his old car. It
Yes.
was
But I love that about him.
well.
I will give him
Kristen's
a
tainted.
pass.
She's tainted. She's tainted.
He's my favorite. Oh, my
So, are we
gosh.
saying forget the past completely? Absolutely
No
not.
way.
Well, memories matter, traditions matter, history matters. But healthy leaders use the past as a teacher, not a residence. And I love that one.
Yes.
You honor the past without emotionally living there. You got to
Yeah.
get over that boyfriend and your junior high boyfriend, and you got to move on.
I know I've been actually, this wild, Ron, just the parallelism here, because I've been helping my dad. He holds on, his parents died like 20 years ago. No one wanted any of their stuff but him. And so he had the movers, this is in Buffalo, New York, pack up their entire house and brought it to him. And so my dad has literally their lives. And so over the past 20 years, it's been sitting in his garage, some of it in his spare bedrooms, and he's starting to go crazy because he's like, I can't live this way anymore. So now my mom and I are going over, and the kids, once weekly to help him sort through everything. And Ron, I have to tell you, there's like the crystal vase where at the top it has like real silver lining it. And it's like, come on, it's like very feminine. And my dad's like, no, that was my mom's favorite. Put it in the garage. And I'm like, can I just donate it? He's like, put it in the garage. And I'm like, okay. So like there's things, because he's flashing back to his parents, like treasuring an item. So therefore now he feels he needs to treasure that item, right? It's a tough balance. And because I'm a nostalgic person, I get it in a sense, right? But
That's why I didn't want Kristin advising me on downsizing,
Yeah,
'cause
no.
we're just alike. We'd be going, well, this is funny. I have my tax returns from the 90s, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And I've got this big crate, all my tax returns, and it's so fun to look back
You only
at how
need
much,
7 years, Ron.
well, when you look back at how much money you made. But here's the point.
Yeah.
My neighbor, Lisa, she literally said, just tear out the front page. It's got all the information. I looked at it and I went, oh my God, you're right.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
I went through those because I knew I had to shred them.
Yeah,
Nobody wants
yeah.
to throw their tax returns in a dump. But anyway,
No.
I went out and pulled the front page. It's got everything. It's got where I work and my gross salary. I think it's so fun to see your salary, like when I started as
yeah.
a cop. But
Yeah.
anyway, sometimes you do need an outside voice that is not feeling nostalgic to give you some ideas. All right, what's some questions leaders should ask, Kristin?
Yeah. Are we protecting principles or protecting comfort? I think that one's
that's
huge.
good.
Comfort
Yeah.
can be the enemy for sure.
Yeah, and learning a new computer program is not comfortable. Usually,
No, it's not.
It's usually technology. That's the big one that seems
I used to get so
companies.
pissed when the bank would upgrade systems. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I refuse. I would like switch over the very last day until they cut me off. All right. So that's a legit situation there. Are we learning from history or hiding it?
Hiding in it, yes.
Hiding in it. Are we growing or preserving identity?
Very true. And if you're a leader, manager, you need to be applying this and
Yeah.
listen. So some
These are
practical.
great questions.
They are practical strategies. You always need to stay curious about change. I tell everyone, you need some lines on your forehead because body language experts will tell you that means you've raised your eyebrows a lot and you're more curious.
Yeah.
You learn from younger generations. There's things that I certainly learn. I use younger generations a lot. Build future-focused goals. I told someone the other day, the reason I don't like to hang out with older people, even my age, is most of them are on their way down. And I hang with younger guys. I was in a bocce ball tournament. Almost everybody in there is younger than me, but they're talking about, what they're doing Monday, the business they're building, all of that.
Yeah,
So
growth mindset.
I choose to move forward. I've changed my tagline. Anytime I sign now an email, it just says always forward. That's my, with
I
my
like
logo,
that.
the 4.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Makes sense, Ron.
Yeah, and we have to separate our values from outdated systems. Yes, we love that old word processor, but it's time to move on, right? And
Absolutely.
people don't like this. They think it is you're not being true, but you need to constantly reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You know, even to do a podcast, I had to reinvent myself. I was a public speaker, but not a podcast speaker, and I still get frustrated when I look back. And I've tried to work on, Kristin and I, this is a podcast, but it is on YouTube, and you can't help but to look at it occasionally and go, why am I rolling my eyes like that? Why am I?
Face management. No, it's so true. I have to even say, like the other day, so I just set up auto. So when someone follows me on social media, I have an auto message, and it's basically, thank you, this means a lot, yada, yada. And then it tells them a little bit about me. And then the whole thing is I added where there's a link to this podcast, Ron. And so anyways, this is how important it is to actually listen to feedback. I had one person who said, I immediately unfollowed you because you seem to be too left leaning for me. And I was like, what? And I'm like, what could possibly have made him feel that way? So then I reread my caption, and it said, I'm a conservative hippie from the Pacific Northwest. I love, like, food is, it was basically talking about because I eat really clean and everyone, food is life, all that type of thing. But I was like, oh, it's the word hippie that triggered him. Yeah. And so everything that I've been doing for the past 6 years went out the window, that one word. So I went in because of one person's feedback, and I went in and changed that. I removed the word hippie. And so you have to listen. And that's, I don't know if that's reinventing myself, but it's definitely listening and being willing to adapt and make edits based on feedback that you're getting. You have to do it.
Yeah, and if you're looking at AI and technology, you're going to have to rely on some younger people. It's just a fact. And Chris and I have always embraced AI. So I think we've proven what we're talking about here.
Oh, yeah.
And I had someone the other day, Kristin goes, yeah, artificial intelligence is going to kill us. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to grow. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to have some fun until it does.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's that word balance. You have to be balanced with it. You can't, there are so many people that are so against it. And I'm like, look, it really is important that you at least understand how to use it for some basic inquiries. Like people use Google, right? It's about that simple, because you will get moved past often. True. Yeah, you have to focus
So, Kristin, let's start to wind down here. Folks, we really appreciate you staying with us, and we are almost done. Hang with us. Lesson number 4, comfort can become a competitor of growth. And on the very first day when I do brain functionality in executive coaching, I tell people your brain is designed to do 2 things when you're a child: protect you and comfort you. And it will always, make up scenarios. So again, comfort can become a competitor of growth. There's very little happens when you're sitting on the couch watching TV as far as growth. And most of the things in my life that I've, been successful at have come at a great price. I have to be honest with you. Yeah. But it also makes me appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great message. I think everyone listening can probably identify a place in life where they've done this.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we'd love to hear from you. We would love to hear from you. Even if it's a joke, a nostalgic joke, let us know. We've got the Facebook group, or you can DM Kristin or I on any of the social media platforms. Yeah. So remember, nostalgia in and of itself is not weakness. But leaders always have to ask, am I remembering the past, or am I hiding in it? Because growth requires emotional flexibility. And sometimes the hardest thing to let go of isn't failure. It's the version of yourself that once felt successful.
Wow. That's powerful right there.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh my goodness.
Take us home, Kristin.
Yeah, the final dirty lesson. The past should inform your identity, not imprison it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
These are so good.
Amazing. I know, they're amazing. Nice job, Ron.
Well, I might have had some help.
Yeah. No, it's good. I love this idea. I think it's very important because, like you said in the beginning, this is not something that is mainstream. People don't talk about the dirty side of nostalgia, right? And it really can be nasty when people don't continue to have that growth mindset. So I think it was an important discussion.
It was, especially if you're still wearing the 1980s hairstyle. You got to move on. You got to move on. Let it go.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, everybody. We really appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, share, talk about, get in touch with us.
Yeah.
What else? Rate the podcast. We had a huge week last week. We're really excited about it and grateful for it. And
And
that's it.
suggest an episode topic. I think that we always love that. If there's something that you feel should be discussed, suggest it to us. Like, we're all ears.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, be the leader you're meant to be.
We'll see you next week.
The Dirty Side of Leadership podcast is brought to you by Forward Operations. If you'd like to book Ron or Kristin for speaking events, training, or executive coaching, visit forwardoperations.com. Be the leader you're meant to be.